St. Petersburg, Florida, a city known for sunshine and beaches. But in March of 2023, a chill settled over the community. A darkness descended. A young mother, Pashun Jefferys, was gone. Her 2-year-old son, Talon, was missing. The story unfolded in an apartment complex. Behind one door, a scene of unimaginable horror awaited. Pashun, just 20 years old, lay dead, her life taken in a brutal act of violence. The news spread like wildfire. Whispers turned to cries of disbelief. How could this happen? Fear gripped the community, especially those with young children. The search for answers and for little Talon had begun. Inside Pashun's apartment, investigators faced a scene of unimaginable violence. The air was thick with the metallic scent of blood, and the silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional murmur of the officers. The walls, once adorned with family photos and memories, were now splattered with dark, drying blood. The details, too graphic to fully describe, painted a picture of a struggle, a desperate fight for life. Furniture was overturned, and broken glass littered the floor, evidence of the chaos that had ensued. It was clear that Pashun had fought valiantly against her attacker. Pashun had been stabbed repeatedly, over 100 times, the reports would later say. Each wound told a story of rage and brutality, a testament to the ferocity of the attack. The sheer number of stab wounds left the investigators in shock. The apartment, a place that should have been a sanctuary, was transformed into a crime scene. The once cozy living room was now a stark reminder of the violence that had taken place. The investigators moved methodically, collecting evidence and documenting every detail. The evidence was overwhelming. Bloodstains marred the walls, the furniture, the floor. Every surface seemed to tell a part of the horrific story. The forensic team worked tirelessly, swabbing surfaces and collecting samples, determined to find any clue that could lead them to the perpetrator. Among the chaos, investigators started to piece together clues. They meticulously examined every inch of the apartment, looking for anything that could provide a lead. The smallest details, often overlooked, became crucial pieces of the puzzle. A bloody fingerprint on a cleaning bottle. This small, seemingly insignificant detail could hold the key to identifying the attacker. The fingerprint was carefully lifted and sent to the lab for analysis. A bloody shoe print, its distinctive pattern belonging to a Gucci shoe. This clue suggested that the attacker might have been someone with a taste for luxury, adding another layer to the investigation. These were more than just clues. They were silent screams demanding justice. Each piece of evidence brought the investigators closer to the truth, and with every discovery, the resolve to find Pashun's killer grew stronger. The hunt for justice had begun. As the investigation into Pashun's murder intensified, a parallel and equally urgent search was underway. Where was Talon? The 2-year-old boy was last seen with his mother. Now, he was gone. An Amber Alert was issued, flashing across television screens and mobile devices. The community rallied, posting flyers with Talon's picture, organizing search parties, holding on to hope. Every passing minute felt like an eternity. The community held its breath, praying for a miracle. But deep down, a chilling fear began to set in, the kind that whispers the worst possible outcome. The investigation into Pashun's murder zeroed in on one person, Thomas Mosley, Talon's father. Mosley had been at Pashun's apartment the night of the murder, attending a birthday party for the child they shared. His behavior after the party raised red flags. Surveillance footage showed him acting erratically. Witnesses reported seeing him with fresh wounds on his hands and arms, injuries consistent with a violent struggle. The forensic evidence was damning. The bloody fingerprint on the cleaning bottle, a match for Thomas Mosley. The Gucci shoe print found in Pashun's blood, Mosley owned a pair. The news of Thomas Mosley's arrest sent shockwaves through St. Petersburg. The community was in disbelief, struggling to process the gravity of the situation. Thomas, a familiar face in the neighborhood, was now at the center of a horrifying crime that left everyone questioning their sense of security. The man who should have been protecting his son was now the prime suspect in his disappearance and the murder of his mother. The sight of police cars and crime scene tape around the apartment building was a stark reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded. Residents watched in shock as Thomas was led away, unable to reconcile the image of the man they knew with the heinous acts he was accused of. The community, already reeling from the loss of Pashun, struggled to comprehend the depth of this tragedy. Friends and neighbors gathered in parks and on street corners, offering each other comfort and trying to make sense of the senseless. The loss of Pashun was a heavy blow, and now the added horror of her son's disappearance and presumed death was almost too much to bear. Neighbors who knew the family grappled with guilt and disbelief. They questioned themselves, wondering if there were signs they had missed, if there was something they could have done to prevent this tragedy. Conversations were filled with what-ifs and if-onlys, as people tried to come to terms with the reality that had shattered their community. How could they not have known something was wrong? The sense of guilt was palpable as neighbors reflected on their interactions with the family. They replayed moments in their minds, searching for any indication that something was amiss. The realization that such a tragedy could happen so close to home left everyone feeling vulnerable and uneasy. Vigils were held for Pashun and Talon. The community came together to honor their memories, lighting candles and sharing stories. These vigils provided a space for collective mourning, a way for people to express their grief and support one another. The flickering candlelight symbolized the fragile hope that justice would be served and that the community could begin to heal. Candles flickered in the night, casting a somber glow on the faces of mourners. The soft light illuminated tears and solemn expressions as people stood together in silence, united in their sorrow. The vigil was a poignant reminder of the lives lost and the impact of the tragedy on the community. Stuffed animals and flowers piled up, testaments to a life cut short and a child's innocence stolen. The memorial site grew each day, with more tributes being added by those who wanted to pay their respects. It became a place of reflection and remembrance, where the community could come together to mourn and to find solace in their shared grief. Section 6. Justice delayed. Thomas Mosley was indicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder, facing the harshest possible penalty. The charges were severe, reflecting the gravity of the crimes he was accused of committing. The community was in shock, grappling with the horror of the events that had unfolded. The courthouse became a focal point of attention, with media and onlookers gathering to witness the proceedings. The weight of the situation was palpable, and the anticipation for justice was high. But the wheels of justice, often slow to turn, took an unexpected turn in this case. Legal proceedings can be unpredictable, and this case was no exception. The initial momentum seemed to stall, and questions began to arise about the direction the case was taking. The community, already on edge, found itself in a state of uncertainty. The courthouse, once a symbol of impending justice, now stood as a reminder of the complexities and delays that can plague the legal system. Mosley was deemed incompetent to stand trial. This decision was based on thorough evaluations by mental health professionals who determined that he was not in a state to comprehend the charges against him. The legal system has provisions for such situations, ensuring that individuals who are not mentally fit are given the care they need. However, this also meant that the trial would be postponed indefinitely, adding another layer of complexity to an already convoluted case. He was ordered to a state psychiatric hospital, his mental state unfit for him to understand the charges against him or assist in his defense. The hospital, a secure facility, became his new residence. Here he would receive the treatment necessary to restore his competency. This process, however, is not quick. It involves extensive therapy and monitoring, with no guaranteed timeline for recovery. The legal system must wait until he is deemed fit to proceed, creating a sense of limbo for all parties involved. The news of Mosley's incompetency was met with a mix of emotions: anger, frustration, and a sense of unfinished business. For the victims' families, this was another blow in an already painful journey. They had hoped for a swift resolution, for justice to be served without delay. Instead, they were faced with the reality that the process would be prolonged. Protests and gatherings outside the courthouse became common, as people voiced their dissatisfaction and demanded answers. For Pashun and Talon's loved ones, the wait for justice stretched on, their pain compounded by the legal limbo. The courthouse steps, once a place of hope, now felt like a place of endless waiting. Vigils and memorials were held, candles lit in memory of the lost. The community came together in support, but the sense of loss and the desire for closure remained ever present. The journey for justice was far from over, and the path ahead remained uncertain. Section 7. A Mother and Son Remembered. Pashun Jefferys was more than just a victim. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend. Those who knew her best described her as a loving mother who adored her son. They spoke of her infectious laugh, her kind heart, and her dreams for a brighter future. Talon, though his life was tragically cut short, was remembered for his infectious smile, his boundless energy, and the way he brought joy to everyone he met. Their memories lived on through the stories shared, the photographs cherished, and the love that continued to bind them to their community. Section 8. A Call to Action. The murders of Pashun and Talon Jefferys served as a stark reminder of the devastating impact of domestic violence. Their story, though heartbreaking, ignited a call to action within the community and beyond. Organizations like Casa Pinellas, dedicated to advocating for victims of domestic violence, saw a surge in calls for help and offers of support. The tragedy sparked conversations about the often hidden nature of abuse, the importance of recognizing warning signs, and the need for readily available resources. The message was clear. Domestic violence is a community issue, and it demands a community response. Section 9. Scars that Remain. Years have passed since the tragedy that shook St. Petersburg. The pain may have softened, but the scars remain. Pashun and Talon's story serves as a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can lurk behind closed doors. Their case, still unresolved in the eyes of the law, continues to fuel a push for greater awareness, prevention, and support for victims of domestic violence. The hope remains that by sharing their story, by speaking their names, and by refusing to let their deaths be in vain, others might be spared from suffering the same fate.